couple of times now, I've kind of glossed over the cloud option in the project manager. So we're going to start taking a look at that today. There's a lot of stuff that can go on here, but we're just going to focus on what it is and why we use it. So here in Blackmagic Cloud, I have two project libraries, Hui and Shared Projects. Hui is a Hawaiian word for to gather up. And I have two libraries because I'm paying for two. It's fee-based service. You can join other people's cloud projects for free, but one person, just one, has to pay for the hosting. So we're paying for hosting as an organization that a variety of people can get together and edit them. For example, some of these videos are edited by other editors. I do most of it, but we also use them as educational opportunities for other editors. So here we have the Resolve Bits Hui project inside the cloud library called Hui. Now, inside this cloud project, if you look at, you can see that there are a number of people that have access to this library, and I, as the king here, decide who has access to the library. But once I give somebody access to the library, they have access to every project in that library. So I'm going to go ahead and load up Resolve Bits Hui. Is what we have open here behind us. Now, cloud projects have a few extra icons down here that are important. Like, for example, this little person or people icon shows you who is currently looking at this project. And you can see here, one of the other editors is currently looking at this project. I believe I could even text him. Edit Suite chats are live. They don't persist if my editor isn't there to see the text go by, then it won't persist. But if you go to Camera Crew, you can type a message here. This is a permanent message that serves no purpose other than to exist. Now, if any other editors get onto this project later, they'll be able to actually see that message. So you can kind of keep track and communicate with each other through the inbuilt chat tools of the collaboration platform. This one right here is kind of the meat and potatoes of looking at the media that is shared with the Blackmagic Cloud platform. You can share your enormous original files. The not uncompressed, but they're normal-sized video files are usually pretty darn big, and they're not necessary for every editor to have. So this has a built-in functionality. If we go to this gear icon here for the cloud settings, to create proxies automatically. Now, proxy files are files that stand in for the real files. So you can make smaller proxies, in some cases significantly smaller proxies, that will then automatically upload to the server, the Blackmagic Cloud server that I am paying for, and then automatically be downloaded to the other editor's computer when they're editing the project. It does not edit off of the cloud files. It downloads the cloud files. So you can save a whole lot of money and a whole lot of time by using proxies with your remote editors. Usually I even have it set to even smaller proxies, the half resolution one right here, because they're tiny. But what these settings here do is it gives me a location for where I'm going to download cloud assets, so assets that are in the cloud but not on my computer. A checkbox to allow multiple users, which is kind of the point of why we're doing this, so I leave that checked. Then I can tell it to not sync media, which there are reasons you would do that. So you can sync only the proxies, or you can sync the proxies and the originals. Now, when you sync proxies, the Blackmagic Cloud service also syncs files for which there are no proxies, images and audio, which is brilliant because I used to have to do that by hand. So I'm really pleased with the service, especially since the base level fee package for this is only $5 a month, I think. I'm paying a bit more for some extra space, but proxies, especially if you use the very small proxies and you clean up afterwards, can really reduce the amount of space that you need to pay for. It's not expensive, but once you get into the higher pricing categories, it does add up. You can also tell it to automatically create proxies at a certain size. Now you'll notice here DNxHR 8-bit 422 is not a small file. It's a very high quality file of something that's probably 4K or maybe uncompressed, raw. That's not going to help you a whole lot if you want to save space, but those options are there because some editors and editing teams might want it. I tend to use the lower quality ones. So let's have a look at the media pool here. I actually have the files locally on this machine, so I'm going to look at the details here. And let's see, this is the face cam right here. And you can see that it's synced to the cloud and that it is full 4K. I shot it in 24 frames per second because I was an idiot and forgot to change the settings on my camera. Nothing wrong with shooting it in 24, I just didn't really intend to. Worked out all right, but there were sync issues. Let's see. I thought the size was on here, but I don't see it. So let's see, file name. Oh, what am I doing? This is the list of things that can be known about a file. And if you right click on that little thin line there, you can add additional things. So I want to see if we have proxies. So I'm going to check proxies, and now the proxy category shows up. And you can see that while this is in its original form a 4K file, the proxy is a 1080 file. Now it shows us the resolution, but it doesn't show us the file size, which you might be interested in. So I'm going to go into the open file location for the face cam that I've got here, and it'll take me to the location of the file in the Finder. Make this a little smaller. You can see all the information in one place. You can see here is the file, and it is 9.12 gigabytes. There's a proxy folder there. If we go into the proxy folder and we select the same one, it is 1 gigabyte. So about 10% the size, 12% the size. So it's a significant savings of space. So the editor, the remote editor, then downloads the proxy files, which are very small, can look at whatever setup work I've done, carry on from there, and then all of those changes get updated to the timeline. So let's go to the edit page and look at the timeline. And I didn't put any of these colors in, I didn't put any of these markers in, and I made only a few of these preliminary cuts. So the other editor has gone through the beginning and tightened it all up, and is starting to put markers in for where to put zoom ins and zoom outs and that kind of stuff. And it works really, really well. And the editor could even be using the free version of Resolve. I'm using the studio version, but as long as I don't need a remote editor to do things like use the AI tools or to use the AI tracking in the color page. No, you're not going to be doing coloring work with the proxies anyway. It's incredibly cost effective, but also you could collaborate with somebody on a much larger project. The key is that they have access to those proxy files. And so there is a kind of a natural limit. If the project gets really big, like I've got a multi-year project and we've got days and days and days of footage, putting that all online would be prohibitive. But you can still do the old-fashioned send somebody a hard drive via FedEx with all of those files and use the cloud project to keep everything synced together, which is in fact what we do with that project. We'll get to the path mapping and finding data, and it's a little bit of a headache, and that's one of the reasons why I really like the cloud service. It gets around a lot of those headaches with the proxy files for projects that are small enough, basically. Before we head on out, I do want to take a look at the current fee structure for this, because it is a paid service, and you're probably kind of curious about how much it costs. So creating a Blackmagic Cloud account is free, but having some of these services is not necessarily free. So let's look at, so I have 1 terabyte of storage, and that's $20 a month. 1 terabyte of storage, $20 a month. Now $20 is not a heck of a lot. And there are other features that that same amount of money gets you like presentations and some collaboration tools that I haven't used yet, haven't had call to. I'm just looking at an amount of storage. But let's go ahead and change the plan and see what the options are. So there's a storage slider. So if you start with the free version here, you get 2 gigabytes of space, which with those proxy files is significant. It's not a lot, but it's not nothing. 500 gigabytes is $7.50 a month. 1 terabyte, which is where I have settled for the moment, is $15 a month. And then it kind of goes up as you might expect. Who's going to be paying $15,000 a month for a petabyte of data? But hey, if that's you and you're watching this video, why? But if that's you, the option is there. So I'm going to cancel these changes because I'm happy with the plan I have. So it gives you a sense of how much those services cost. And again, only one person needs to pay that, or one organization. So that's a little bit of a first look at cloud projects and collaboration tools that come with Davinci Resolve, both the free version and the studio version. There's no difference between the two versions in terms of Blackmagic Cloud. I'm actually really pleased with it. This has worked out very well for us because we work with communities around the world, actually, that don't necessarily have the money for certain subscriptions-based software that we all know about and love, actually. I've used the subscription-based software myself, but we switched to Resolve basically because there's a free version and collaboration across thousands of miles. It's pretty seamless. It's not flawless, but it's really good. Thanks for coming along, and we'll see you again in one of the next ones, I hope.